Chris Mannix, Sports Illustrated, joining us on the program as we talk about what is going on in China, the fallout from that. What happened today in China, Chris?
Well, I mean, I think the most recent developments are that, Adam Silver took a stronger position. And because of that, we have seen, even further fallout from China with, the decision to not show the games on CCTV. The images I'm seeing and you're seeing of banners coming down at the arenas, questions about whether the game between the Nets and the Lakers are going to take place are there. I mean, it's continuing to evolve, Dan. But I think the strongest thing that happened was that the NBA cleaned up its mistake. That initial statement was nothing more than a word salad that didn't mean a whole heck of a lot. And Adam Silver came out yesterday and clarified all this, and I think they've done a lot better in the last 24 hours.
What does China want?
I mean, I think in an ideal world, they like Daryl Morey fired and the NBA to disavow his comments. But, I mean, that clearly isn't going to happen. I mean, it just isn't. I understand that Daryl put the NBA in a bit of a compromised situation because of how much money is at stake. But, I mean, think about how bad the NBA would look, Dan, if they even sanctioned him at all, like fined him.
Wait, did you say a bit of a compromising situation?
I'm being diplomatic here, I guess, to say the least. But, look, he's costing them some money. I mean, I think the only question now, Dan, is how much money did that tweet ultimately cost the NBA? I mean, I think it's fair to wonder, can China really kick the NBA out of its country? I mean, an authoritarian government like that can do a lot, but the toothpaste is kind of out of the tube here. Like, there are a lot of people in China that watch NBA basketball and that, worship these guys as athletes, as top players. You can't just say, well, we're going to show more Chinese Basketball Association games. Those games stink, and the players and the games are only good because they've got like washed up NBA players that are playing on those teams.
Don't get on China's bad side here. How about you say their quality of basketball is less than the NBA? I
mean, have you ever really known me to kind of take that position?
Okay, I'm worried about you.
It's bad. It's bad basketball.
Okay.
It's bad basketball.
Okay.
And you can feel free to have on any ex-CBA player that's now back in the U.S. They will tell you it's bad basketball.
How do you think this is being told to China? Like, do you think that the citizens even know about it?
Well, I'm sure they know about it. I mean, I spent some time early in the week talking to Ben Rhodes, who's a former national security advisor for Barack Obama, and he said that, through state-run media, China's spinning this in whatever way they want to spin it. I would say it's kind of goofy to suggest that a tweet from Daryl Morey has had an impact on the Chinese people since Twitter is largely blocked in China. So how would they even be able to see what Daryl Morey said? It's also, I think, a little ridiculous, as Joseph Tsai, the owner of the Nets, suggested that, all the billions of people in China, whatever number it is, are united, in how they feel about what's going on in Hong Kong. I don't think that's true either. So I think it's being spun in a way by China, but I'm not so sure exactly what every citizen there feels.
How does this get worse?
I guess it could get worse if sometime in the next 24 hours LeBron James says something strong on the issue. It certainly could get worse if Donald Trump weighs in on the issue. We're seeing a lot of right-wing media, criticize NBA players and coaches for not speaking up on all this. I guess that could go to another level. But, Dan, I don't know about you, but I don't have a huge problem with, players and coaches not weighing in on all this. It's, just because you comment on California versus the NCAA or have a problem with some of the policies and positions that Donald Trump takes, I don't think that requires you or compels you to weigh in on a decades-old international incident. I just don't think it does. And I would challenge people criticizing those players to ask themselves if a week ago they had a position in all this. If a week ago they could have fully explained exactly what was going on between Hong Kong and China. If you couldn't, why should a 25-year-old basketball player or even a 40 or 50-something-year-old coach strong position on all this. So I guess that's a long way of saying that if the right-wing media attacks, pick up and all of a sudden bigger politicians get involved, this could continue to spiral.
Do you think the players are told not to talk or not being made available? Or if you want to talk, I saw James Harden had some comments, but I don't know if the Nets and Lakers are being made available to the media.
From what I just, from the reporters in China, it sounds like the availability was canceled for today. At some point, if this game goes forward, they're going to have to speak. And even if it's not now, they'll speak when they get back into the United States. So I think they'll have to say something on this topic. And I don't believe the NBA is telling them anything. I don't think they can do that. I do think there are conversations that have or will take place between players and their sneaker companies. I think that's for sure. I think sneaker companies are going to have some advice on how to handle this given the business that they do in China. But players, I think, from an NBA perspective, are free to say whatever they want.
How would Commissioner Stern handle this or have handled this? Any different?
It's a good question. I was reading excerpts from my former colleague, Jack McCallum, had a piece on that he quoted on David Stern, where you read it, but he basically, articulated that Stern had a lot of, he grappled with how to deal with China. So I'm not sure he would handle it all that differently. Now, certainly I don't think David Stern took as much of a progressive stance as Adam Silver has. I don't know that David Stern would handle some of the stuff that Greg Popovich has said and Steve Kerr has said and players have said in the same way that Adam Silver has. So maybe he would have encouraged them to be more diplomatic or to be quieter on this subject. But I still don't know if there's anything the NBA can do to whether it's Stern or Silver, to muzzle this type of stuff.
You think this game is played tomorrow? Well, they have two games, the Nets and the Lakers. Do you think they're played in China?
Just guessing, I would say no. It just,
wow.
Looking at some of the visuals of these banners being taken down and how this doesn't seem to be de-escalating anytime soon. In fact, it is only escalating at that point. Now, I don't know what conversations that Silver's having today with officials over in China. I know he's trying to talk to people over there and sort of just try to settle this in a calm and reasonable manner. But at this point, Dan, they canceled like things that benefit the school systems, things that benefit the Special Olympics. I don't know. I don't see how, given the precedent of the last 24 hours, how anyone could think it's likely they go forward with these games.
Chris, great stuff. We appreciate your time as always. Thanks for joining us again.
You got it, Dan.
That's Chris Mannix, works for Sports Illustrated, covering boxing, and, of course, the NBA, works for DAZN as well.
For more Dan Patrick Show, tune into Audience Channel 239 on DirecTV, stream for free on BR Live, or download the Dan Patrick Show app.